Hello, everyone. Say anything to anybody?
Hello.
Hello. Florida, that obviously, I mean, people have been wintering there for 100 years, right? My
I
gra-
think,
my gra- my grandparents went to Florida, so
yeah,
back when there was nothing there.
yeah. I mean, if when they were coming, I'm sure there was like, I mean, there's still a lot of parts of it. You'd be surprised that
I wouldn't
this,
be surprised. I've driven through the remote sections.
yeah, yeah.
I
You
told you
go out,
about that time that I thought I was in a third world country when I
yeah,
drove
a
down
hundred
from
percent, yeah.
Orlando down
Oh
to
yeah,
Key West on the back roads.
oh yeah, yeah. When you get out in the country and you get out in some of the farmland, there ain't much out there, man. Even these days, I mean, nada, nothing,
No,
nothing.
no, no. I pulled in. That's a whole nother story. But
Yeah,
I thought I was in like Honduras or something like that.
yeah. I believe it.
That's how it felt.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah, it is. Well, I mean, our country is. I mean, I don't know the numbers, but I
Yeah.
would guess that probably 80%, 80 to 85% of our population
Hmm.
lives within 50 or 60 miles of one of the major cities in this country. And a lot of those are on the coasts. So you get away from the coastline or away from the major cities, and the population density is probably pushing zero. It's probably more cows than people.
Maybe. Yeah, definitely. You're right. I mean, basically, they live on the coast, the East Coast and the West Coast, a little bit in the middle,
I
you
remember when I
know.
was driving across Montana, and it was like at midnight, and I decided to go through this cow path. I had no idea where I was going, and
Wow.
these trucks, Dan, out in the
Mm.
west, these 18 wheelers are going like 100 miles an hour, and you just better
They
get out of
fly,
you better get out of their
right?
way.
Is
And
that
these
right?
are,
Yeah,
oh, it's insane through the Dakotas. And then when I was in Montana, so it's midnight. I'm not expecting trucks to be moving. And all of a sudden I
right.
see this thing coming towards me like a dart. And literally this road is barely big enough for one car. And it's a two-lane road. So
Do you think those trucks were literally doing 90 or 100 miles per hour? Literally?
pretty damn close. Yeah.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
fast for a
Yeah.
53 footer, man.
Well,
Those big rigs,
what they do is that
that's flying.
at least where I was, there's this, it's a paved road, and on each side are the different farmlands, but they are barbed wire to keep the animals in. Now, unless it's a wild animal that jumps the fence,
Mm.
and out there, if you look at the trucks, all those trucks have huge bull bars on them, huge bull bars, because what they do is they'll just disintegrate whatever is in front of it. If it's a deer or a cow,
They're
they
not stopping or
Oh, no, no,
slowing
no,
down.
that, no, no, no. Throughout, when you drive out there, you'll see these animals on the road and on the side of the road just pulverized. Yeah, it's incredible. Yeah, yeah. So I got off the road. It was my little Ford wagon. I got up under the grass, up against as close to that fence as I could. And I turned on my hazard lights so he saw it. And he blew by me, barely slowed down, if he even slowed down. So,
Wow.
but it was
Wow.
beautiful up there because I'll never forget the moon. The moon in the sky was like this big, and it was illuminating the field, and I could see all the cows, and the cows were active at night, and it was incredible. It was beautiful,
Wow, man.
and that's the nice thing about our country is you can go out and do those type of things. Our country is so diverse.
It is huge and diverse, isn't it?
Yeah.
It really is. You take it for granted, but when you step back and think about it and have a chance to see some of it, to your point, it really is just massive and hugely diverse.
Yeah, and
Hugely.
and and thanks to technology, you now see people moving back out to those places, right? And ever since the pandemic, even more so.
Yeah,
So, I
that's a
mean,
good point.
who would want to
Yeah.
live in New York City? I mean, really? Or downtown Boston?
Or
I
San
mean,
Francisco or
yeah,
Chicago.
I mean, they're fun for a week, but
Yeah, a
after
couple of
that,
days to visit. Yeah, but every day, the day in and day out grind, the cost of living, the the amount of people in one spot, the traffic, the weather gets you after a while. You have no life. You just don't. You're on the industrial rat wheel, which is how they wanted to set it up over the last 100 years. Suck everybody out of the agrarian or rural areas, bring them into the city, you know, initially
No surprise, right?
initially factory and now, office jobs. But, oh, by the way, and I don't mean the diatribe, I don't know what's on your agenda, but the white collar jobs are starting to backfire now. You probably know this, right?
What do you mean by backfire?
Well, I saw an article on Yahoo Financial within the last 2 weeks or so, because of COVID and because of the fact that a lot of the white collar jobs were able to work remotely. And as a result, a lot of companies lately, as of late, have been trying to call back a lot of workers, right? Like come into the office,
Yeah,
right?
like Apple and, yeah.
Right. And a lot of workers are like, I don't want to do it. And so now companies are starting to figure out that, wait a minute, I know I'm paying this guy a great wage. He's a white collar AVP, VP, director of, sales or technology or product, and they're making 150 G's a year. And but now the thoughts occurring to them, it's like, okay, this guy or gal, they were working remote. Okay, great. Well, if they're working remote, right, somewhere around the US, why can't they work remote somewhere else, if you know what I mean? And why can't I pay them 1/3 to half? Hello, newsflash, you just outsourced yourself, lazy bones. So that's what's starting to happen. And yeah. So you've got your Indian counterpart, your whatever counterpart, Brazilian counterpart, brick counterpart, whatever you want to call it. I'm being facetious now, who's willing to work for a significantly less. And corporate America. It's all about the profits, period. End of story.
Yep, and I've been saying this for 20 years when I was out selling my own products, okay? And I would say to people, I'm like, you're giving your business to my competition who outsource everything to China or wherever they're outsourcing it. And
Yeah,
I said, yeah, that's
they didn't
great.
care
That's great. You're getting things cheaper, but what you're going to do
for
is you're
short
gonna
term.
put
Yeah,
people like me out of business.
100%.
Okay, and then
They
you're
don't
going to
care.
have to pay them whatever they charge. Or, everybody sees what's happening with energy around the world about how,
100%.
So all of a sudden, all these jobs are outsourced and
Yeah, dude, listen, you get it, I get it,
they could
because
turn off these products next. Now you're not getting your iPhone or
100%, bro.
or your TV or your computer.
Yep. People like you and I get it, not because we're wonderful or brilliant or whatever. It's just because we're
Do you
geeks
have a
that fall
dog?
in the background. I don't have a dog, no,
Oh,
it's a
okay.
neighbor. And just because we follow this and stay abreast, but the average bear is not thinking about this. They just don't know. But that sucker punch is coming their way. And when we lose, and I hope I'm dead wrong, but if and when we lose the world reserve currency, that's going to speed the process up even faster.
Dan, you're witnessing it right now.
I know we are.
Okay.
I just
China
don't want to.
and Russia and the
I just
BRICS.
don't want to speak life into it.
No. It's already a done deal. Those countries are already trading without using the dollar. That basically is the end of the US dollar. The dollar is only relevant in terms of, it's like we are turning into a very a bipolar world, so maybe a multipolar.
100%.
Definitely bipolar.
Yeah.
Because Russia and China, the United States, whether intentional or not, we don't know this. Okay, but for all we know, you remember the video of Yuri Bezmenov that we watched together about a year ago or 2 years ago, where he said this is an intentional plan to basically hollow out the country from the inside. And he said it takes a couple generations, and that was 40 years ago.
That was 1983, I thought, that
and
video.
And then Bill Cooper also talked about these things hollowing out after a couple generations, right?
It takes time.
So it's 40 years later after both of those guys, all right? 20, 40 years later. And we're seeing the results now. We are seeing that these people, okay, you and me,
I don't disagree.
realistically, Dan, you
I
and
don't
me,
disagree, man.
you and me should be